Hello, my name is Robbie Dodenbeer, and I'll be presenting today on HTML form types, specifically the input types of text, email, password, and submit. So to start off with, we'll talk about text. So the text input type indicates a single line text field. This is usually smaller data inputs. One thing to remember with the text input type, line breaks are automatically removed from the input value. A user can enter any type of value into these fields. Some common examples of text input type would be first name, last name, company, things of this type of nature. If you look there on the right, I've given just a brief example of what this would look like inside a form element. As you can see, the first line is more of a label, and then we call the input type, we specify text, and we give it a name, and this name would be used when it gets passed to our PHP script that it can then use to manipulate and do things with that data. So that is text. It's very simple, very commonly used in forms, easy way to collect data. The next is email. This is very specific. The email input type is a field for adding, editing an email address. This field will appear the same as a text field inside the form. Depending on browser support, the email address can be automatically validated when submitted. So that just checks to make sure that you have an @ symbol and that there's the .com, the .edu, things like that. One other feature with the email type is within smartphones, they can recognize the email type and add in the .com to the keyboard, as well as add an @ symbol just for ease of use for the user. That way they don't have to dig around and try to find those symbols. Just makes things a little bit easier. And as you can see there on the right, I've shown just a quick example of that inside a form element. Again, just that first line is the label. The next is the input type email. And again, just like previously, we include a name. This is the variable that will be passed into or match up with what's in our PHP script so that the values can then be used within our calculations or whatever we do with the data. Next is the password input type. The password input type is a single line text field whose value is obscured. So think of just like a text field, but just with whatever the user types in is just kind of changed out to be a bunch of dots. I've shown an example here on the right. Within our form element, we have the username, user password. If you look at the input type equals password name, PSW, again, that's just what matches up with the PHP script. I've also provided just a quick screenshot of what the user would see on the front end. You can see that the password, the value that it is entered in, is obscured and is not readable to someone who may be looking over a shoulder, things like that. Finally is the submit button. This is what triggers the form data to actually be sent to the server. The server then takes that data, uses the PHP script, and then does whatever it wants to based on the script. So quick example here, the form action, you can see that is what the PHP page is. I have a first name, input text, last name, input text, and then finally a submit. The value on the submit is just what is displayed to the user, and it's just a button there at the bottom. And then clicking that would then collect all that data and push it to the action_page.php. So that's just a quick kind of rundown of each of the types. Now just kind of jumping over to some code. You can see here, this is just a quick example of what I am doing in my code. As you can see here, I have input name, the type is text. I'm actually doing a few different ones here. Actually, a better example is to do this one actually. This is a better example. So this has all the things that we just talked about. So I have a type of text, email, password, and submit. You can see here my name is just what matches up with my variables in my PHP page, and then I have a submit here at the bottom with the value of register. So if I just jump over to my my website here, first name, these are just both just text fields. As you can see, I can type in anything I want here. This is an email address, and as you can see, the password is blank. Now if I were to try to do this without a valid email, you can see right there the browser caught that. I haven't built any kind of validation or anything in the code itself outside of just use the email. So if I fix that and I hit the submit, this will push this over to my PHP page, which then manipulates and does whatever it does with the data, and based on that pushes me to this next page. So that is a quick rundown of each of these forms. They're very basic, very easy to use, but very important within the form on the page. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to any questions you may ask.